Okay, YouTube, here we have part 4 of the ships that flew, the video review for YouTube and you.
I'm inclined to forget that there are still modern flying boats being developed, like this Grumman Albatross, with 4 turbine engines to give it the reliability and performance of a modern aircraft. Nevertheless, I should think even an aircraft like this would still require subsidy on this route. And by spending a lot of money on the airstrip here and taking away the subsidy, the government have made it very difficult for any operator to continue the flying boat service. I, like most other people on the island, I think, would like to see them continue, but unfortunately you've got to face facts, it's just not possible. And so, as far as I'm concerned now, I'm very glad to see that the government's concerned we're able to arrange for the Army to do the job they're doing down at the Linky area in constructing the airstrip. Giving you my own impression of the airstrip, I would have to say this, that unless this airstrip can provide the island with a regular commercial service, then it's not going to be of any great benefit whatsoever. There's great difficulty in mooring a flying boat at Lord Howe Island due to the very exposed nature of the lagoon, the prevalence of cyclonic winds and gale force winds. In the case of our flying boat mooring there, you have a 7/8 cable attached to the bow of the aircraft, which is attached to the normal mooring buoy. Now, when you get these mountainous seas that pound in over the reef, the aircraft, which is not built solidly like a boat, it's light in construction, it's meant to fly. And a huge swell comes through and the old girl rides up on the swell and it's then lifted in an attitude and its wings are there for lift. And the swell goes through and you get this tremendous snatch as it goes belting down the swell, and of course you've got 20 tons of aeroplane that are banging on that mooring. Over here at Lord Howe, it's 480 statute miles away from Rose Bay, and it's always afforded us a lot of problems in handling flying boats. Over the years, 3 flying boats have been washed ashore in gale force winds and mountainous seas. In 1950 we had the Qantas Catalina. That was lost. In 1963 our own Pacific Chieftain in gale force winds again and mountainous seas. It was belted onto the beach and the float knocked off and severely damaged, and we couldn't repair that. It was so badly damaged. Well, I think it happened at around about midnight on Sunday night. We were all pulled out of bed, my crew and I, and we raced down to the beach. And this dreadful sight, when we got there, a poor old beachcomber with its wing and its float bashed into the side of the beach. The main plane had been badly dented, and of course as the sea came in and the wind howled, the float was bashed under the hull, and the tip, of course, is badly irreparable. But of course, it can be repaired, and I can assure you that I'm going to fly it back.
Because of its spacious comfort, its versatility and economy of base facilities, you may well wonder why the flying boat is not used today on the international airlines, and perhaps whether it'll ever come back into use for regular air transport services. The flying boat was replaced because of its relatively slow speed and costly performance as a flying machine. This condition was imposed on it mainly by the need for propeller clearance over the water, which in turn dictated a huge, deep hull which cost power and money to drive through the air, though it had great advantages in space and comfort for passengers. The flying boat, after the war, was an orphan. And an extremely inconvenient orphan. It threatened the astronomical investment now concentrated in land airports and their increasingly magnificent terminals, which have become the major prestige symbols of the cities and other international centers which they serve. The flying boat will never come back, not on the international airlines. It will be used for certain specialized military purposes, which can be fulfilled only by a water-based aircraft, but it will never be given a chance to raise its head above the surface, with this gigantic world investment in land airports standing over it.
Okay, now this is where I kind of get to review the video, and I got to say it is magnificent. It is the best fair-minded documentary that I have ever had the privilege to watch, covering the issue of why there are no flying boats in commercial service. It's got magnificent visuals. If you can get a chance to find a better copy in higher definition than this on the internet, go your hardest and download it and watch it and enjoy it. If you can riffle through the $5, $2 throw out shit videos in your local crazy prices reject shop, Wayne's World, whatever you want to call it, if you can find a copy of this, The Ships That Flew, in inverted commas, filmed in 1974 for the Australian television market, then pick up a copy. This one cost me $5, and it has some of the best explanations as well as the best visuals of flying boats in operation and what's wrong with them. You know, like, you basically take an aeroplane that's not a very good aeroplane because it has to function as a boat, and you take a boat that is a really horrible boat because it has to function as an aeroplane, and you merge them together, and what you wind up with is the worst functions of an aeroplane with the worst functions of a sailing boat. Flying boats are not a good thing. That's why they're not in operation anymore. I had a friend once who bought an aeroplane, and when he bought it, it came not only with a spare engine, but also with a set of floats. And I had to say to him, you know, like, just have fun flying it with wheels on it, because once you turn your aeroplane into a sailing boat, it gets much, much, much more difficult. And instead of being softer to crash on, the problem with water is that when you crash on it, you drown while you're being, you know, knocked unconscious by the impact. So yeah, one of the major reasons I put this through my mobile phone, and I'm going to upload it, is not only to review the video for other people who might be flying boat aficionados, but because I've got a subscriber in Canada. He's a refugee from the American military, and his name is McNuts2. And he and I share an appreciation of aerodynamic eccentricities. Whoopsie. There we go. Yeah, McNuts and I share an appreciation of aerodynamic eccentricities and things like a passenger airliner flying boat that was still happening in 1974, and a documentary made for TV to tell the story of why it was being phased out of service, and how the army had to be called in to build a runway so that the jet land planes could knock the piston engine flying boat out of service. I reckon McNuts will really enjoy that, and it is my privilege to put it up as a video review of the DVD, The Ships That Flew. So anyway, I'll shut my mouth now and we'll watch the end of the video and you'll see the credits for the people who managed to make this brilliant piece of video. Or filmmaking, as it was called in the day. And there we have it. And as the man said at the very start of the four-part series, 450 hours per year, maximum service, operational use of a commercial Sandringham flying from Sydney to Lord Howe. 3,000 hours per year, maximum service use for a land plane flying from fixed base to fixed base on bitumenized, tarred macadam runways. There's just no way that you can charge 6 times the price to fly the same route just so the passengers can have the fun of landing on the water and getting a boat ride to the terminal versus landing on the bitumen and getting a taxi ride, a bus ride or a train ride to the centre of the city. There's no way. Howard Hughes's Spruce Goose, the biggest flying boat ever built, constructed entirely of plywood with 6 engines. It's in a museum. It's only ever flown once, 50 feet above the deck. The Saunders Road Princess, a gigantic I think it was 10 engine, 10 turboprop engines, it was mind-boggling. They built 4 of them, I think, and they finished up in mothballs, being scrapped. There's not even any of them in a museum. They never entered commercial service. Saunders Row also built a turbojet-powered fighter, which Captain Eric, in inverted commas, Winkle, because a winkle is a small shellfish, and he was a little man, and they called him Winkle Brown. He actually turned upside down when he hit something while attempting to take off. The Saunders Row fighter, jet fighter, flying boat fighter. It was a failure. Flying boats are really, really expensive, and they're not very good aeroplanes, and they're fucking horrible sailing boats. So therefore, that period in human history is over. As is this 4-part series. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it was edumacational. Ciao. There we go. That's the official DVD credits for the people whose work I have pirated. And because I consider it's for review and educational purposes, I don't think I've pirated it at all. Ciao.